The hum of the engine was the only companion Mohamed had for hours. A soft indie playlist played from his phone, connected to the car's old speakers. He had been on the road since morning, heading to a new city to start a new life, a fresh job, a fresh apartment, a fresh version of himself. That was the plan. It was late afternoon when the sky began to change. The clouds thickened, swallowing the sun and casting the forested road into a dull gray gloom. Then came the fog. It wasn't gradual. It rolled in all at once, heavy and dense, as if someone had poured smoke across the highway. Mohamed leaned forward in his seat, squinting. The white veil ahead was so thick, he could barely see past the hood of his car. "What the hell?" he muttered, turning the windshield wipers on. They squeaked uselessly across dry glass. He glanced at his GPS. It had been his guide for the entire trip. But now the screen was frozen. The blue route line had vanished. Instead, in the top corner, a single word appeared in pale gray: Silent Hill. Mohamed blinked. That's not on my route. He tried refreshing it, but the screen flickered and turned black. His phone signal had vanished completely. His grip on the steering wheel tightened. The road began to feel unfamiliar. No signs, no mile markers, just endless woods and creeping fog. A strange weight settled in his chest. Maybe he had taken a wrong turn. Maybe it was just a strange weather system. But as the fog thickened and the world outside his windows grew quieter, he couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. Not just the road. Something real. Something wrong. He rolled down his window a crack, hoping to get a sense of the air. It was cold, still, and smelled faintly of rust. Up ahead, the road curved sharply, and somewhere, far off, he thought he heard the faint sound of a bell. Mohamed's fingers drummed anxiously on the steering wheel. The fog seemed thicker now, pressing it on all sides like a living thing. Even with his headlights on, visibility was nearly zero. He slowed down to a crawl, eyes darting left and right, looking for a sign, a turnoff, anything familiar. Then out of the fog, movement. He blinked. A figure, small, standing in the middle of the road. He hit the brakes. The tires squealed as he fought to control the car. The girl didn't move, just stood there, motionless, wearing a white dress that fluttered lightly in the wind. Her face was hidden behind a curtain of dark, wet hair. What the... Mohamed turned the wheel hard to avoid her. The car veered off the road. Crack! The front of the car smashed into something hard. There was a deafening crunch of metal and a blinding flash as his head hit the steering wheel. Darkness swallowed everything. He wasn't sure how long he was out. When he opened his eyes, everything was sideways. The car had crashed into a tree. The front had crumpled like paper. His head throbbed, and blood trickled down his temple. Mohamed groaned, pushing himself upright. The girl, she was gone. Was she even real? He reached for his phone. No signal. Just a blank screen and a single word again: Silent Hill. The fog outside was thicker now, almost unnatural. He climbed out of the car. Cold air hit him like ice. No other cars. No road signs. No help. Just that endless, choking fog and the eerie silence of a town he never meant to find. Mohamed stood by the wreckage of his car, breathing heavily. The silence around him was unnatural. Not the peaceful quiet of the woods, but a suffocating stillness. No birds. No wind. No movement. Just fog. Thick, cold, swallowing everything beyond a few meters. He checked his phone again. Still no signal. The battery indicator flickered for a moment, then vanished. The screen went black. Useless. He looked back at the road. It had disappeared behind the fog, the white mist swallowing the highway like it had never been there at all. Only one path lay open to him now. Forward, deeper into the mist. He grabbed his coat from the back seat and started walking. The trees grew sparser as he moved on, and soon the road gave way to cracked pavement and broken sidewalks. Faded buildings loomed in the distance, barely visible through the fog. Windows were shattered, doors hung off hinges, and streetlights stood like rusted skeletons. A rusted welcome sign emerged ahead. Welcome to Silent Hill. The paint was peeling. A dark stain marred the bottom corner. Mohammed's mouth went dry. Silent Hill, he whispered, remembering the name from his GPS. What is this place? His footsteps echoed eerily as he entered the town. A strange static buzzed faintly in the back of his ears, growing louder with each step. He looked around, half expecting someone to appear. But no one came. No people. No cars. Just fog. Just silence. And a growing sense that he had stepped into a place that had been waiting for him. Mohamed moved deeper into the town, every step slow and cautious. The fog clung to his skin, thick like smoke, making the air heavy in his lungs. He passed what looked like an abandoned diner. Windows cracked, a red neon sign hanging by a wire, flickering faintly but giving off no real light. There was something off about everything. The colors were drained, like the whole world had been bleached. Time itself seemed to hesitate here. He tried calling out, "Hello? Anyone here?" His voice barely echoed. It was swallowed whole by the fog. He turned a corner and saw something that made him stop. Deep footprints in the dust-covered street, barefoot, human, and small, like a child's, the same size as the girl. A cold shiver crawled down his back. Was she still here? Was she even real? He followed the prints. They led him past a broken lamppost and into a narrow alley between two crumbling buildings. Trash bins lay overturned, and dark stains marked the concrete. Something about the place made his stomach twist. Then the noise started, a faint static. It buzzed in his ears like an old television stuck between channels. T coming from his phone. It was coming from somewhere around him. The fog pulsed. Then the static cut out. A second of silence. Then a distant siren. A long, low metallic howl that rose and fell like a dying scream. It echoed across the town, loud and unnatural. The ground seemed to groan beneath him. The world darkened. The fog turned darker, thicker, and the buildings around him began to change. Walls melted into rusted metal. Paint peeled away to reveal pulsing veins. The air smelled like ash and blood. Mohamed backed away, eyes wide. "What the hell is this place?" he whispered. But there was no answer, only the fog, and something moving inside it. Mohamed stumbled backward out of the alley, his breath ragged. The world had shifted. What once looked like a broken, abandoned town now resembled something torn from a nightmare. The buildings were covered in rusted metal plating, with chains hanging from ceilings and exposed pipes dripping dark, thick liquid. The air was hot now, heavy with the stink of burning oil and rotting flesh. The fog had darkened into a sickly ash gray, almost black in places. Everything was wrong. And then he heard it. Clang. A sharp metal clink, like something dragging across the ground. He turned his head slowly, dread tightening his chest. At the far end of the street, a figure appeared through the fog, human-shaped, but twitching unnaturally. Its head jerked with every step, limbs stiff and slow. The skin was pale and slick, stretched too tight across its bones. Its face, if it had one, was hidden behind a metal plate bolted into its skull. It dragged a rusted scalpel across the concrete, the noise sharp and grating. Mohamed took a step back. Then another. The creature stopped, as if it heard him. "Jesus," Mohamed whispered, unable to look away. The creature shrieked, a high-pitched, broken noise that echoed down the street, and started running. Mohamed turned and sprinted. His heart pounded as he raced through the twisted streets, dodging debris, broken fences, and collapsed telephone poles. The fog was like a wall behind him. The thing shrieked again, closer now. He found an old convenience store with the door hanging open and ducked inside, slamming it shut behind him. The creature's scream echoed past the storefront. Then, silence. Mohamed collapsed behind a shelf, gasping. He was shaking, covered in sweat. His mind raced, trying to make sense of it all. This place wasn't just abandoned. It was alive, and it didn't want him to leave.